Welcome back to Origami Snowman. My name is Matt. I'm going to talk about a few books today that surprised me for various reasons. Sometimes you go into a book and you think, you son of a biscuit. I forgot one. Sometimes you go into a book thinking you know what to expect. You read the back of the book, you've heard a few reviews, you think you know what you're getting into. That's not always the case. So I'm going to highlight just a few books that left me, I don't want to say confused, but surprised for any number of reasons. Now, keep in mind, there are good surprises and there are bad surprises. I got samples of both here. We're going to start with a very tiny little book. Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. It is great. I did not really know what to expect from this book. It is tiny and it has large print, and it is, for lack of a better term, a children's book. But it is really, really good. It is surprisingly mature, not like content-wise, but take-wise. Kids want to hear that, when you're an adult, you can eat cake any day of the week. You can eat it all day long if you want. And they want to hear that. What they don't want to hear is, you shouldn't. There are a lot of reasons why you shouldn't. Pretty soon, you're going to get very, very unhealthy, and you're going to learn to hate cake. They don't want to hear those truths. This book does not shy away from those truths. Since we're on little itty bitty books, let's go ahead and do this one. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. It's a classic science fiction story about a guy who builds a time machine. It's so good. It's not simple like you would think. It's not as cut and dry as you would like it to be. Considering that when H.G. Wells wrote this, the idea of a time machine was not widely popular. It wasn't the thought experiment that it has become over the last 100 years or so. It's not a thing people gave thought to. And because of that, you almost expect this to be kind of juvenile and dry, but it is not at all. It's very unique, even in regards to everything that came after it. Like, this is sort of the beginning of a genre of novel, time machine novel, time travel, whatever, where they don't explore like he does in this. And it scared the crap out of me. Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury is well known. He's a very popular author. He's written Fahrenheit 451, which once upon a time would have been considered a fantastic idea, but is definitely more in the realm of current events, unfortunately. But he wrote that. He wrote The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles. He has a lot of interesting concepts, a lot of interesting ideas in his stories that are very science fiction. And so a book like Dandelion Wine gets kind of overlooked because this isn't his normal genre. And so when people talk about Ray Bradbury, they don't think about reminiscences of the summer of 1928. I wasn't there. I don't know what it's like, but I feel like I know what it was like. This book is incredibly well written, and it makes you so nostalgic for a time when, like, my grandparents were itty bitties, and they probably wouldn't have remembered most of this stuff. So highly recommended. It is such a wholesome read. Definitely check that one out. That surprised me because it's the one nobody talks about. Oh, let's see. John Steinbeck. I talk about him a lot, and there's a good reason. He's an incredible writer. He seems like the kind of guy who he writes just to write. You know what I mean? He loves words so much. Just give him a story and he'll tell it. Cannery Row. It was one of the very first Steinbeck books I read. I had read The Pearl because everybody reads The Pearl in high school, and I read Of Mice and Men, and I think I was in a different place then. As an adult, Cannery Row, I fell in love with these people. These weird, bizarre, strange occupants of this place, and it's so evident by Steinbeck's writing that he also was in love with them. It's funny. It is heartwarming. It's like an episode of Cheers. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm 100 years old, and so I remember Cheers, and you guys don't. Any John Steinbeck is surprising because no one should be that good at writing, but Cannery Row, it's just blew my mind. Surprises can also be bad. And I want to get this one out of the way because then I want to go back to good surprises. But for now, we're going to talk about one book that surprised me for the wrong reasons. And I read a lot of reviews. I saw a lot of book recommendation videos. And everyone said this book was amazing. Definitely on their top 10 books for 2025. And I want you to see this. This is how far into the book I got. Look, I got so very far. I'm like 60 pages from the end. I'm not gonna finish it. I can't finish it. I don't care about the characters. I understand what they're trying to do, but I don't understand how they got to that point. There is enough material, enough potential in this book. This could have been a trilogy, and it's the first book in a trilogy. It moved too quickly. It moved through too heartlessly. When characters died, I was like, have I even met that character yet? I don't remember. It didn't have enough heart. And that is the Poppy War. It's terrible. I hate it. I hate that I hate it so much. Does that make sense? I am 90% sure that it's because I've already read too many books. I've already experienced too many movies and stories where the plots just get recycled. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm not the audience for this book. However, I was disappointed in the telling of the story. It felt like I was starting a jigsaw puzzle, and then, 300 pieces in, I realized I don't really care about the finished product. I don't need to see this picture finished. I spent way too much time forcing myself to read this. I'm not spending any more time on the last 60 pages. So I'm surprised because that has been very highly reviewed, but not by me. So I'm so sorry, R.F. Kuang. I know you put your heart and soul into it. I learned more about bad writing from that book than I wanted to. And it has made me aware as a writer of some of the issues that I have with my own writing. So thank you for that, but I'm going to pass on the rest of the trilogy. Project Hail Mary. I didn't know what this was about when I went into it. It's fantastic. It is so exciting and so entertaining and so gripping. And I'll be honest, there were several moments in the book when I thought, are they really going to do that? Is that really the turn that this plot is going to take? And yeah, it did. And there were a few times and I thought, okay, if this is how it goes forward, I might be done. But I couldn't stop reading it. It's so good. It is so much fun. It commits. Whereas the Poppy War takes a massive, just an absolutely massive plot and setting and tries to cram it into one book. Project Hail Mary keeps it very simple. The setting is very simple. It's manageable. The story stays manageable. And I didn't expect so many of the things that happened in this book. But it happened, and I loved it. I was all in for it. It was so good and so much fun. Surprising in the same way was this book, Hank Green's An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. It is part of a duology. The second book is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. I'm not saying that about the book. That is the title, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. This, I didn't know. I thought I knew. I didn't know. I'd heard them talk about it on their podcast. I'd heard, reviews and all that. And I didn't dig anymore. And I like to go into a book without knowledge if I can. I like to be surprised by every plot twist. But when the thing happened that happens, I thought, what's the plot twist? Oh, there isn't a plot twist. That's just the thing. That's the thing that happened. There you go. It's as weird as it seems. Buckle up, because it's actually going to get a little bit weirder. It wasn't what I expected, even though it's a little bit right there on the front cover, just a little bit. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it turned out to be very surprising. Throughout my life, there have been certain types of books that have come with a strong stigma. Stephen King, I always thought that was for, you know, like trailer trash. Sorry, I grew up in the Bible Belt. Romance novels, also trailer trash, but only because my grandmother lived in a trailer and read voraciously the romance novels. She was a widow. What are you going to do? True crime stories. I was like, what? Why read about it when you can go out and do it, you guys? I had in my mind the stigma for certain types of literature, and true crime I stigmatized. I thought it was a little bit trashy, a little bit tawdry, you know, just slightly voyeuristic. I just, you know, there's a weird dark cloud that hung over true crime. But Truman Capote, in Cold Blood, sort of the patriarch of the true crime genre. He tells the story of a true murder that happened in 1959 in Kansas. And he goes into such, I don't want to say detail. He pays such attention to the characters in this story. As a journalist, he learned everything he could about the victims. He wanted to paint a picture of these as three-dimensional humans, not as future corpses, but as people who deserve to have their story told. But then he turns around and he does the same thing for the murderers. He paints a very clear picture of who they are, what their dreams and aspirations were, and you cannot deny that they are just as, they're people too. They made horrible decisions, but they are also human beings, recognizable. They're familiar, you know? It's heartbreaking and sad and tragic, but on both sides, how did these young men become who they were that would lead them to do the things they did to the victims? A lot was lost. Truman Capote, absolutely gorgeous writing. Every page, there is a line that I keep thinking, I'm gonna steal that for a title. For a novel. I'm gonna lift it, and I don't even care what the novel's about. I will write the novel around the title. I've done that before. Truman Capote, In Cold Blood. And let me tell you, I am 64 pages into this book. I am the same distance into this book as I have left in this book. I'm done. I'm done with this one. I am taking my time. It is a good, slow boil. Sometimes you want a book that reads fast. Ooh. And sometimes you want a book that like just soaks in. And that's what this is. Surprising. And that's on me because Bible Belt, I had preconceived notions. What are some surprising novels that you have read and would like to share with me and tell me all about in the comments down below after you like and subscribe? Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all to pieces, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.